Back in 2019, Devolver Digital published a game by Doinksoft called Gato Roboto. I didn't actually hear much about this game at launch. All I knew was that it was a sort of a streamlined Metroidvania style game that was completely in black and white. That was pretty much all my knowledge of it. But after getting it for $3 on Steam and playing it all the way through, I figured that I should probably make a review about it since I enjoyed it so much. That's not to say that I don't have any criticisms, but I'll get to those in a second. Gato Roboto starts off with a crash landing from a soldier and his cat onto an alien planet. The soldier is stuck in the ship, so the cat has to go out and do all the saving. That's about all you're going to get, really, with the story of Gato Roboto. There is somewhat of a story, but I can't really say anything else without going into spoiler territory. It's just a Metroidvania with a story that's about a paragraph deep, and that's really all that it needs. Anything else, I think, would have just bogged this down. It reminds me a lot of Metroid Fusion. Though Metroid Fusion did have a story, much like Gato Roboto, it didn't have much of a story. It just kind of happened. The gameplay of Gato Roboto is a lot like Metroid, specifically more of Super Metroid. If you've played Metroid Fusion, then I would say it's a little bit more like Metroid Fusion than Super Metroid, but I digress. It's a Metroid game through and through. It's more streamlined in that there aren't that many abilities and movement feels a little bit faster, that type of thing. The whole game is meant to be speedran, obviously. There's a timer at the bottom of the screen constantly, and I beat the game in about 3 hours. I can only imagine that somebody better than me could beat it in about 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. This game actually seems like it would be a lot of fun to speedrun. I might actually do that at some point. As far as the sound goes, the sound is very bit crushed. It sounds a lot like some of those older NES games. That's basically all I really remember about the sound. There wasn't much that stands out. There's no voice acting. All of the characters speak in those beeps of the text box, text appearing. Kind of like, I want to say Earthbound did that. I'm trying to remember the last game, or what comes to mind immediately when thinking about that kind of text. The graphics, as I said, are completely in black and white, though the sprites are really well crafted and a lot of fun to look at. As far as replay value, I think that this game is basically here for speedrunners. If you're going to be replaying this game, you're probably going to be trying to beat it as fast as you possibly can, and you've got that little handy timer at the bottom of the screen just to make sure that you can do that. Though I suppose if you want to, you can do a 100% collect-a-thon, but all you're going to be collecting are the different colors that you can change the black and white to. So instead of having black and white, for instance, it'd be blue and yellow, or gray and green. My opinion on Gato Roboto is that it was a pretty fun game. I had a lot of fun just rushing through this in 3 hours. It felt like something that I could come home from work and then just fly through. Though I feel like some people are going to enjoy this thing only if it's really long and the dungeon is lengthy and it takes forever to get through and there's tons of things to find and explore. I personally enjoyed this more capsule-sized Metroid game. I really don't have time to play Metroid anymore, and I really appreciate games giving me this concise of an experience in this small amount of time. Though I do have a few critiques with the game, like I said earlier, I do think that at some points during boss fights, the screen gets too cluttered, and black and white doesn't really lean itself to that. If it had color, then maybe I'd be able to tell things apart. I would have preferred that projectiles from enemies be red, or maybe the enemies themselves be red. Any way that I can tell the difference between what is going on screen and not just being a cluster of white. I find some of the controls a little bit slippery, depending on if you're inside the mech or if you're outside of the mech. If you're inside the mech, it plays a lot like a Metroid game. If you're outside of the mech, you're playing the cat, and then it feels kind of like Super Meat Boy. Though neither of those I really had a problem with. It was the underwater mech that you use. That was the thing that I had the most issue with. There was a big problem that I found with trying to turn around. It seemed like it was just too sensitive, and more often than not, I would end up just actually turning around to shoot once and then turning back around. I really didn't like the way that the underwater parts felt. Other than that, man, it was a clean experience as far as controls. Gato Roboto, all together as a one fine package, I would say pay $5 for it when it's on Steam, maybe on sale. It's a wonderful little experience. You can get through it in one day, or maybe 2 sittings if you don't like to be playing games for that long. I believe right now it is $3 on Steam on sale, so if you can grab it right as this goes up, please do it. Gato Roboto gets a 9 out of 10. Great. If you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing for more to come in the future. Thank you for watching.